All right, the new mini jet boat is here. This is it's an 11-foot mini jet Avenger. It's the Gen 2. It's just like this boat. The first boat I built was a Gen 1. So as I noted in the videos about this one, the key differences are the swim deck, the longer profile on the windscreen right here, makes it look a little more sporty. And back here, it protrudes underneath the swim deck, so it actually will increase buoyancy in the back end. So pretty sweet. And here is the donor that I plan to use. It's a 2008 Yamaha FX SHO Supercharged 1.8 liter. Should be pretty quick once I get it turned all the way up. So eventually remove the HKS supercharger and toss a turbo on it, because these the sprawl clutches, or the supercharger clutches in these things, are known to be kind of faulty if you are on and off the throttle quite a lot, or if you're putting them under a lot of load consistently, which I guarantee I'll end up doing. So yeah, one of the things I have to do for this setup to get it in there is I have to shorten the drive shaft by like 5¼ inches, because as you can see here, obviously the pump's not completely at the transom because it's going to be back a little bit further, but the whole setup is quite long. So yep. All right, well, I will get right into it. I'm going to start assembling the pump into the pump adapter on the back here, which is the Yamaha 160 pump. So, and yes, I know the 08s have a 155 pump, so I plan on installing a new wear ring and a new impeller in this thing to get it up to 160, just to move a little more water. So, all right, well, I will get to installing the pump, putting the motor in, getting it located, figuring out the exact amount I need to lop off the pump shaft so that I can send it off to get resplined, cut and resplined. All right, the next order of business is to cut these pieces off right here along this line and this line. So the reason why MiniJet does this is so that you can keep it here if you want it to be long so that it fits properly, or you can cut this off following these lines and it'll contour this radius of the jet pump. So obviously they think through everything. So I'm gonna lop this off and then cut this off, because I want this to be the shortest possible configuration, because it's a tiny jet boat and I don't want to be stuffed up in the dash. So once I lop this snout off, that's whenever I can push this back, tack weld it, and kind of start getting things in place to know the exact pump shaft length so I can send it off. Voila. Needs a little smoothing, but good for the most part. Something like that. then this is placed there, aligned to the top hole. And once this is cut and resplined, everything just mates right up and should work perfect. There'll be a little bit of alignments that I'll end up having to do just to make sure that this surface is parallel with the surface of the pump, but that won't be too difficult. All right, now that this is where it needs to be, I'll slide this off. I'm gonna mark the width of this on this flange so that I can leave a small amount of material here to TIG to. And then that'll just make it a little bit stronger so that whenever I do the back side of this, it's if I miss the spots underneath here, it's still plenty strong and watertight. All of this noise is me taking the pump out. This time I'm not working with butter knives, I'm working with actual proper saws here. Okay. So I have a little bit of a lip all the way around that will allow me to kind of adjust this and still get good penetration. Alrighty, I'm gonna tack this with my MIG because my TIG machine has yet to arrive. And something I learned last time was a lot of this stuff is very difficult to do with MIG exclusively. It just ends up, especially if you're a terrible welder like myself, so it just ends up looking pretty terrible and there's caterpillars everywhere. And it's with TIG you can get a little more granular control over your pool, and you know, it's just for the finesse, so that'll be good here. All right, but for the time being I'm going to tack this in place with the MIG and get it going. Because I don't know exactly where everything belongs in the shop just yet, I'm still kind of reorganizing, and because I don't have a long enough cord for my welder to tack the mounting plate in place, I need to bring everything back over here. So it's actually closer, so I'm having to play Tetris in the shop.
See the color of your soul. The color of your soul. I can see the color.
All right, this is tacked up now. I know that if this surface right here is perpendicular to the machine surface of the intake, that the adapter will be parallel to the pump in the back. So all I did was just use a square just to make sure it's perpendicular and everything checks out on each side, and which it is. So now that it's tacked up with the MIG, once my TIG comes in, I'm gonna run a weld around the outside of the back and the inside of the outside diameter. I am going to just reinstall the pump, have it come through, and I'm gonna toss the motor in here just to kind of see what things are gonna start looking like. All right, the motor is in place. That's essentially what it's gonna look like. And I did notice that the little lip that I left in place so that I could have somewhat of a lap weld whenever I tigged it together is actually gonna cause issues, because it looks like the backside of this carrier bearing wants to protrude into the intake snout. So I'll figure that out once I get the pump shaft back from getting shortened 5.25 inches and being resplined. So that is all for now.